Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcomed back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by 10th Man, Paul Hall, Neil, Flatzoid, and a whole bunch of people in Discord, so welcome one and all.
Hey, happy Crazy Friday.
And Darwin.
Hey, happy Friday.
Hello. Happy Friday to everyone watching live. Happy Sunday if you're watching this on a re-up. Very good to have you all. Nice to have an enthusiastic Discord server. Excellent. Thanks.
By the way.
Your support is welcomed. Please share the show. Right, any evidence of a physical, geometric, sphere-edge horizon, formerly known as the curve of the Earth, to block boats and buildings and such?
Not from my zenith or plumb line.
There's this imaginary one that keeps changing.
The math.
Depends which way you want to look at it, Tommy. Imaginary, if you're put in a corner and pointed out that it doesn't really exist. Real, if you need to assert that it's blocking boats and buildings in the distance.
Whatever suits them, whatever they're trying to prove.
Yeah, it depends what the mood is. Sometimes it's real, sometimes it only exists in the maths. It depends. Any evidence of
I'm just really curious how they get the transition so well every time from Earth-based realistic view, which is just camera work, into then warping the ball into a ball, the Earth into a ball. I mean, how do they do that every time so smoothly? Oh wait, they literally cut out scenes because there is not even 3D rendering of a singular shot like that. Anybody remember that? Notice that?
No 3D rendering of what?
Yeah, there is no singular animation like a launch from ground up, and then until the Earth becomes a ball. There's not even animation of this.
I see.
They never do this. In games, they don't do this. In movies, they don't do this. It's always an Earth scene, and then a transit to like upper atmosphere scene, then transit to Earth is far away in a ball.
It was never difficult, Owen.
There's never a singular transition shot. Because people would see through it. They would see it's not real.
It's difficult to fake this stuff, Arwin. You know, give them a bit of slack. They're trying to reify a model here. What do you want?
I just wanted to point that out.
It would be better if we had more realistic lies, though, is I think your point. It'd be nicer if they were a bit more real.
Yeah, the problem is they can't really get it real because it only exists in the math. And that may work out mathematically, but the intuition, if you actually try to emulate it for the senses to interpret, the intuition will simply tell you that's not how things look. That's why they have to do a 3-step transition every time. They can't do it in a singular shot because intuition of people, even basic people, will just tell them this is not real. This looks like a warp animation. Oh, that transition from one side into another, it will just look fake to them intuitively.
They'll just say you're changing dimensions.
Yeah, moving into the 4th dimension, Arwin. Obviously.
What? We're always there. You just have to wake up to it.
Right, let's move on. Any evidence of axial rotation?
Nope.
Oh, helium balloons debunk that.
When's your balloon video going to be released with a bit more meat on it? Flat size.
What? You're gonna send a balloon up with meat?
He's done. No. He's released a video.
Come to think of it, Nathan. If the world's on a tilt and we're on some sort of actual rotation, and then we're going around in this elliptical orbit, how come the sun seems to go higher in the air? Is it? If we're on the same angle, we're on the same angle, right?
Hold on. There's 3 presuppositions you need me to swallow before I answer this, right? No, I'm not doing it. If the Earth's tilted, if it's a sphere, if it's rotating, then you want me to answer. Ask a globe head. Don't ask me. Why asking me?
That's a good point.
Any evidence of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety? Anybody?
Nope,
Well, this
not
is more
Earth-based
like
variety.
what Arvin was saying about it only exists in the math, but your senses and your intuition tell you you're not spinning. So in reality, you don't feel the motion or movement, but they're telling me I'm spinning.
I had a guy in the chat yesterday on the re-up on the Nathan Oakley channel. Subscribe today. You do get to see uncut and after shows maybe 36 hours after they go out to the members, so they still go out to the public. Anyway, I was in my re-up yesterday. There's a guy in there arguing Coriolis effect, and of course he goes to the usual, the plane doesn't need to worry about Coriolis effect, it corrects for it. So I'm like, okay, I'll get him to pin down on how they're correcting for it before I absolutely rip him a new one. So I was like, how do they correct for it? And he's like, well, it's done in the flight controls. So I'm like, well, this is a sight observation. It's based on your observation from a non-inertial spinning reference frame. So there's no actual deflection in the plane. What's it correcting for with the flight controls? Not actual deflection. But these retards, they literally think that they have to correct for it because it's not showing up in a plane. No, it's just not showing up in a plane because it isn't happening. Not because a plane can account for you observing something seem to drift from the ground with its engines. No, that's not how it works. Me looking up at a plane and going, yeah, wow, that looks like it's drifting. And the clever dick next to me goes, no, it's because we're turning underneath it. Do you remember Neil deGrasse Tyson explaining how the ball seems to drift? Well, it's not really drifting, it's just turning underneath it, right? That's why the plane seems to drift. It's not really drifting, though. It's going straight. You go, all right, so it's not actual drift. Yeah. So would the plane have to worry about us observing it seem to drift? No, it wouldn't, no, because it's not actually drifting. The plane wouldn't have to do a damn thing about it. All right, would it have to worry about the fact that we're turning underneath it, bringing continents to it quicker? Yeah, it'd have to worry about that, wouldn't it? Earth turning underneath it? But it doesn't. And the rebuttal for why it doesn't have to worry about it isn't because Earth obviously isn't turning. It's the flight controls can account for it. Oh, what? Ground control to Flight 374. We have a man on the ground observing you seem to drift. Please correct for this immediately with your Coriolis correction equipment. No, it's a not actual drift. They're not having to account for you look at it and have it seem to drift. It's not actual drift. No correction needed in the plane. Flight controls aren't going to do a damn thing about an observational effect that's not actual. Morons. You don't have Coriolis effect. Earth isn't turning under planes to make them seem to drift at 15 degrees an hour. If it did, flight times would be reduced when going west. Obviously they're not, because Earth obviously isn't turning underneath anything. Not turning underneath footballs like Neil deGrasse Tyson lies about. Not turning underneath munitions, as the claim to be snipers claim that they've got Earth turning underneath the bullet that they've got to correct for. Yeah, well, then it would turn underneath an aeroplane. And it does not. It would turn under a drone. And it does not. It would turn under a hot air balloon. And it doesn't. So we don't have Coriolis effect because Earth isn't turning.
Yeah, I don't think that guy understood Coriolis. I was keeping up with that yesterday, and that was very frustrating.
Yeah, my next video, still going to do that other more in depth, but my next video is going to be balloons in a car. Because it will not be seen in a moving car.
Yeah, like with the helium balloon moving forwards as the more dense air rushes back when you accelerate. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, you saw the video I put in this morning. It showed that.
Yeah.
There were two balloons.
Sure.
You did a new video?
Relative density. No, not me. I'm going to do a video like that.
Okay.
But as a matter of fact, they just
Destined.
relative density.
Smarter Every Day, I think it was. Anywho, they claim 15 degrees an hour. Go on, Flatsoid.
No, it was me. This is key. When you went through that nice summary there, you're pointing out how they are not understanding their own claim of Coriolis. Not actual deviation. They're always looking or reciting that they're in the projectile, like the plane or the bullet, rather than them on the ground looking at something. Can you go over that again? Maybe you might wake them up a second time with a nice summary on that.
Sure. Coriolis is observed because you're on a rotating platform. Like a roundabout. You're spinning on the roundabout. And what you're observing is something that's not on the roundabout seem to come towards you and seem to move away because you're turning underneath it. So, example 1. You on a roundabout lamppost is concreted into the ground but over your roundabout. And as you turn underneath the lamppost, which is definitely not moving, it seems to come towards you. That's Coriolis effect. Now, does the lamppost have to correct for me looking at it and seeming to come towards me? No, the lampost's concreted into the ground. It doesn't concern itself with me looking at it and going, wow, it looks like it's coming towards me. Oh, it's going away. Oh, look, it's coming towards me again. No, it's going away. That's Coriolis effect. And not actual deflection at the rate that you turn underneath something. So in the case of a globe Earth that's claimed to be spinning, they claim Earth turns underneath an inertial reference frame at 15 degrees an hour. Therefore, as per Neil deGrasse Tyson's claim, ball gets kicked, from the stands it looks like it curves, going through the goal, making the field goal because Earth turned underneath. That's their claim. Well, if Earth turns underneath a football after it leaves the roundabout equivalent in this example, the claim to be turning Earth, then anything that leaves the claim to be turning Earth has to demonstrate a 15 degrees an hour deviation as Earth turns underneath, as exampled by the ball. Ball leaves ground, Earth turns under ball, ball goes through goal, because goal's moved under ball. Earth is claimed to be turning underneath the ball, therefore must be turning underneath an aeroplane for us to observe it seem to drift. Like on the roundabout with the lamppost, I look at the plane and go, oh, it looks like it's coming towards me. And your guy next to you goes, no, it's not. It's travelling straight and you're turning underneath it. Oh, so Earth is turning under the plane. The plane doesn't have to worry about it. It just looks like it's drifting from the ground. So they say. Now, when you point out that that would bring the continent that it's travelling to towards the plane as the ground moves under the plane, they say, no. The plane doesn't have to worry about it. It's got flight controls that account for Coriolis. What, account for me looking up at it, looking like it's drifting, because I'm turning underneath it? It'll account for that, will it? And I gave a humorous example. Ground control to flight 237. We have a man looking at you from the ground as he rotates underneath. And it looks like you're drifting. You're not, but you better account for it. Farcical. Obviously, planes don't need to account for this. What they would need to account for is Earth turning underneath them, changing where they're going in terms of the continent they're travelling to, coming to them. Now, do they actually have to account for that? Do they have shortened flight times when going west? Do you launch a drone and watch Earth rotate underneath it 15 degrees an hour? Oh no, my drone, it's drifting away from me. And your clever dick friend next to you goes, no, it's actually just hovering. And we're rotating underneath it. That's Coriolis effect. Does anybody ever experience this? No. Do hot air balloons go up in the air and then find that when they come back down, they're landing on a different continent because Earth rotated under them at 15 degrees an hour? No. This does not happen. And if it did, you wouldn't be accounting for it in the balloon because all Coriolis effect is you observing it while you rotate. Sod all to do with the balloon or the plane that you observe. It's everything to do with you turning underneath them. And that would bring continents to hot air balloons as they hover. And mean your drone drifts away from you at 15 degrees an hour. And flight times would be shortened when travelling west, as Earth rotates underneath them at 15 degrees an hour. It just doesn't. Earth is not rotating.
I put the speed into context because they seem to think it's a little bit.
No one's going to reply to you, Flat Sword. I'm hustling people off mute in Discord and dead air instead, it seems.
I thought I cut up or something. I just
No,
want
no.
to put into context. They say 15 degrees an hour. Do they know that's about 460 meters a second?
Yeah, it's ludicrous speed, isn't it? It's at the equator,
I mean,
1,000
to
plus
put-
miles
to
an
put
hour.
into- Yeah, to put into context, the Bloodhound, the fastest land vehicle ever, only does about 200 feet per second. The Bugatti Veyron only hits about 170 feet per second.
Yeah, it's absolutely
You're telling me
insane, the
that's slow?
speeds they claim. Is this happening live, Paul? What have you got up? What's going on in your little thumbnail? Completely distracted.
Oh, that's the National Geographic thing talking about Coriolis effect.
Oh, okay. I was
Yes.
just about to move on from Coriolis effect. I'm really sorry, Paul. I don't want to put their video up anyway. It might get me a strike.
Oh, sorry. Okay, I'll stop it.
That's okay. I thought it was like a home video or something, or you were filming it on your phone as you were chatting to us. Right. Any scientific evidence of gravity? Hey, Chocolate.
What's gravity?
Good
Today-
morning.
If we had scientific evidence for it, it would be a lot easier to define.
Which
Right.
which gravity are you talking about? Because every day there's a new gravity on the block.
It mind
There's only one.
I don't mind so long as they give us scientific validity. Obviously, if they say 105-year out-of-date nonsense, that'll get cast out immediately now. No, scientific
Come on.
evidence.
I've never even seen a hypothesis for any gravity.
Not a hypothesis. No. I want scientific validity. I want validated scientific experimentation based on a hypothesis. I mean, we do ask any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics for a valid hypothesis. They won't give us that either. But in the case of gravity, which they absolutely assert as real, it's like they get out of jail free card that they think they've got when it's a conceptual medium being bent. No scientific validity. So we want scientific validity for science. Scientific evidence. That's validated experimentation. Give it us.
Come on, Spoonbender. You're off.
You didn't get the global memo in 2020. Science doesn't prove things.
Yeah, they were wrong. Pseudoscience that they thought they had didn't prove anything. Science absolutely proves things. It proves cause when dealing with natural phenomena. No? Any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or
Empirical for
astrophysics?
nothing.
I assume still nothing from
There's,
Dr. Becky.
Mercury.
Not yet.
No. Nothing from Dr. Becky.
Maybe
Research
we should ask if
into...
Michelle Stone.
I could play that again, couldn't I? Do you want to hear Michelle?
Still researching her spam box, probably.
Is Michelle Thaler what's her field? Anybody? Anybody know what
He's
Michelle
an
Thaler is?
astrophysicist,
We'll hear from her. Let's
science
hear from her.
science communicator, astrophysicist, works for NASA.
Perfect. Let's hear what she's got to say.
Michelle Thaler, NASA scientist and communicator.
I actually think of myself as a very complicated rock. I am made of things like iron and copper and manganese. When you sit down on a mountainside and you're there with a rock, those are your cousins too.
I felt that last night. It made me laugh for 40 minutes straight.
I've already played it twice.
That thing was just brilliant. Like a
I've already-
shining gem.
I played it on the pre-show
Yeah, but
too.
I don't know what's more stupid.
Priceless.
Saying it with such
Stupid,
confidence
saying
as well, like
it-
there's nothing wrong with it whatsoever.
Astrophysicists, you can't beat them, eh? Just full of comedic gold.
I think it deserves one more playback.
Michelle
It was
Thaler,
short, so.
NASA scientist and communicator.
I actually think of myself as a very complicated rock. I am made of things like iron and copper and manganese. When you sit down on a mountainside and you're there with a rock, those are your cousins too.
Hey, Chocolate.
Bro,
Never
don't
gets
ever
old.
don't ever pick go to the ground and pick up a rock and throw it because you're throwing your cousins.
Hey, Chocolate, I was mentioning.
It's like the Stardust one, isn't it? Like we're all made up of stardust or whatever they say as well. Like we were all made up of everything. And
Yeah, we were
Just
born in
illusion.
stars. That's what they claim. We were born in the heart of a dying star as the metals fused.
I have a cousin
that's the
named
last one,
Rocco.
Hey, Chocolate. That was a good one, Neil. Chocolate,
it's
I was saying in the pre-show that you had mentioned that this lady has said some other whoppers. Do you recall those?
I think Einstein would agree, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, well, after in a different clip, when she says we're complicated rocks, she also says we're a chemical reaction that became so complex it developed consciousness.
Right, like Einstein.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Get it?
There was another one you had mentioned that she said, I think, about
I
the
mean,
anatomy.
she says so much dumb shit. The anatomy.
Yeah, something about
What did
sex. Something about sex, she said, that was weird.
With her?
It takes more faith
Nah, I
to
don't-
believe that.
Nah.
Well, how do-
Well,
how do
she
rock-
does say
Well, I mean,
she
what's
did say weird shit like, oh, I
Are we more
sleep
like-
with
and we-
everybody, I
but then
sleep
think
with the
about it,
wrong
and we more-
people. She's like a weirdo, man. Like a first grade weirdo.
Well, if you have a pet rock next to you, did you sleep with your cousin?
Let's move on. Let's move on. No. Right, let's move on.
Yeah, Ken Hovind wasn't kidding when he said that evolutionists believe that they came from rocks back in the early 2000s.
I do remember one that I heard yesterday. She said, about 13 billion years ago, when we were all hydrogen. You know that? We could take a picture of that.
You know when we go swimming in the ocean, are you swimming with your ancestors, are you? Fucking, you're swimming in your dead
What?
relatives.
But if we were all hydrogen, we would now be all venting off into the outer space.
Oh, yes, indeed. We'd be
How
filling
did we
the
get
available
over here?
volume. Right. I'm just going to do a quick shout outs. Shout out to Unitox Femu. Mass causes mass attract mass. Earth is globe. Very good. No, not at all. But yes, they do assert that, indeed. Also, Unicorn Laser Eyes. It says, gives a whole new meaning to don't throw stones. Right on. Thank you very much for the super chat, Unitox Femu and Unicorn Laser Eyes. Really appreciate the support. Let's move on.
It suddenly makes losing a stone sound really grim. Also,
Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
it's over there, shining bright in a very clear blue sky.
I
How romantic. Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
Nope.
I don't know if you're going to get through housekeeping after that Michelle Thaler clip. Can you play it one more time?
It is great.
Michelle Thaler, NASA scientist and communicator.
I actually think of myself as a very complicated rock. I am made of things like iron and copper and manganese. When you sit down on a mountainside and you're there with a rock, those are your cousins too.
It never gets old.
It's a reach.
Any evidence of the distance to the sun? Anybody? An actual answer?
You can use a bit of trigonometry.
Yeah, but you have to actually establish either a location or a literal size first before you can even be assured to use triangulation in that fashion.
Oh, kind of just assume Venus is the same size as a presupposed spherical Earth, like Christian Huygens did to give them the distance to the sun and everything else, based on Kepler's third law of interplanetary motion. Kind of just assume that, Arwin.
Well, you could, but that would technically not be confirmation of either the size or the distance.
Yeah, but I can
it would
say
just
it
be an
is.
assumption.
Yeah, just say it is. I just don't mention I've assumed Venus is the same size as an Earth that we've presumed is a sphere that you can't measure because you can't derive R because you can't see the geometric horizon. I'll just assume all that stuff and never mention it. That'll be alright, right? Won't it? That's what they do.
Fucking hell.
I suppose.
Sorry.
Yeah, but you're just going to be stuck in the math that way, you know, without any actual empirical side to the evidence for your claims. It's not going to work.
Math is reality. Red Rhetoric, 2016. Not going to challenge me on that? Anybody?
No,
here
you know the argument's better than the Globers do, and the fact that all this presupposing you've brought to light is so true.
As no one's challenging me on it, math isn't reality, it's
Nope.
abstract. Physics deals with the physical, maths deals with abstractions.
Well, math could be somebody's reality.
It is a lot of
only
people's
because
reality.
they refuse to get their mind into the real reality. So subjectively, it could be reality. But that's as far as it goes.
You drug references to rocks in the chat going past. Less of it, please. Any evidence of the R value, Earth radius?
Nope, none.
Black Swan debunked it.
Yep.
Go through the Black Swan? Maybe leave it another week before we start going through it again. Shout out to Alexander for the unicorn. Woo woo woo! Really appreciate it.
Any side of any Globers that want to come and debate?
Been thin on the ground.
Looks like they've disappeared with the
Didn't I
horizon.
hear QE go against some baller in the arena who supposedly tried to disprove the Black Swan yesterday? Didn't I?
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah,
No, I
it
didn't
was.
know that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But it was totally insane. Like, he basically didn't even address the actual argument.
Did he not claim
What-
infraction?
Ask QE.
What was
He
his
got pretty-
name? Do you remember?
He got pretty pissed off. So.
Was his name like Smooth Brain or something?
Yeah.
Something like
Yeah,
that.
that was him, yeah.
Yeah, that guy's a clown. Yeah.
A clown.
Hey, you were in there too, by the way, Chocolate. I heard you.
So you know, Chocolate, you were there too.
I think you're probably on about
Yes, I
RC MC or something like that.
I think
And
you
he ended
were
up
in
saying
there,
he ended up saying Magnetic West, and we all fucking
Yeah.
we laughed at him for a good half an hour. It was hilarious.
Magnetic West. Oh my God.
Yeah.
That was
What did I get correct?
That sounds like a great movie
The Magnetic
title.
West. What?
RC
Did I
Meisty
get correct?
declared something about Magnetic West.
Yep. Hilarious.
That Mick West's nickname for
And he
himself.
teaches his students this.
They call me Magnetic West.
He was like, he was constantly going, do you want True West or Magnetic West? QE, do you want Magnetic West or True West? And everyone just started pissing himself laughing. After saying Magnetic West and True West for like 5 minutes, he then backtracked and said, I didn't say Magnetic West. And then obviously it was all recorded. So we all uploaded the whole the video and watched it over, and everyone was just pissing themselves for a good another half an hour. He got absolutely terrorised. He did last night.
I don't understand that bit of the mentality. So you assert something. There's been loads of examples of it recently, where they'll assert something quite doggedly in some instances, and then a few minutes later deny even saying it. I just don't understand why they don't appreciate that. Number one, we're not thick. Number two, we're not deaf. Number three, it's being recorded. Number four, in a lot of instances, it's being broadcast to hundreds of people. But yet they think that they can get away with just saying, I didn't say that. In other examples, it's written down, right? That's why QE writes down. When we're going through a hypothesis with people, that's why he writes it down. Because they'll literally just change what they've said moments later.
Yeah. And that's why it's like it's threatening, because I remember when I was talking to him and I was trying to trying to go on about gravity and acceleration, and he was like getting me to say stuff and then to hold me to what I'm saying, and you just feel like you feel trapped when you're talking to him. But that's the point, is that you need to be held accountable for what you say. You need to know what you're talking about, and you need to, stand on the ground that you're claiming. If you're claiming it's gravity, then well, let's go through it then. If it's true, then we'll find
Sometimes,
out.
Tommy, I could kiss you, right? You're brilliant. So what you're saying is, when you were under attack for making your spurious claims that weren't necessarily that well researched, you felt trapped because you were held to task on the words you used. Is that pretty much a good synopsis? of what you just said?
Literally, yeah.
Oh,
That's exactly how I
music
felt,
to
like.
my ears. Thank you, Tommy.
No
It's
escape.
made my day, mate.
No worries.
Not because of you personally, because of the implications.
Yeah.
So I'm not laughing at you or maniacally smirking at your words in terms of you personally. It's more the overarching implication of what you've just disclosed to us publicly. Wonderful. Thank you.
And when you're on the other side of it, you do feel like you find a problem with the person. But when if you're mature enough to say like, "Oh, I made a mistake. I need to come back strong and better," then you need to concede that you can't prove something, or you may not have. You need to be held accountable for what you're saying, and that's the. If you're going to talk about real science and what you can prove and what you can't prove, you need to be accountable for what you say. We need to be very sure of the definitions, and we need to get to the truth. And if it's true, then what's there to be afraid of? You know what I mean?
Oh, check out Conspiracy Cat's interview with Haunted House for the things that you can concern yourself with. You can be all sorts of concerned about whether or not people will come to get you because you've exposed the lie that you've told yourself. There's all sorts of paranoid delusions that you can fill your brain with. Check out Conspiracy Cat's interview with Haunted House if you want a few more.
Oh, and don't forget Unorthodox.
Oh, Unorthodox loves to project his concerns about what might happen to him onto us, doesn't he? Aren't you concerned that the CIA might come and haul you away? No, but now we know you are. Moving on. Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed, of course, spherical Earth?
None whatsoever.
We just need a radius for that.
In the core of the minds of Globers, there's a burning cognitive dissonance that's going on.
P waves, S waves.
Neutrinos.
I actually think of myself as a very complicated rock. I am made of things like iron and copper and manganese. When you sit down on a mountainside and you're there with a rock, those are your cousins too.
Oh, thanks. That's not really evidence. Not really evidence of a molten iron core.
Glad I found that. Oh my god.
No, the molten iron core is kind of my cousin.
Jeez.
What else haven't we covered? Any evidence you can have gas pressure without the necessary antecedent of a container to press upon?
Gem Panda has an issue with that.
I bet he does.
Speaking of gas, speaking of that, they say we are made out of star stuff. Remember, Neil deGrasse Tyson. So we're cousins of the rocks, but the sun is our second cousin twice removed.
Yeah, it's all one happy inbred family, basically, isn't it?
The only problem with this position is that all your cousins are much bolder than you are.
Stardust is our grandparents.
Oh my god!
What's that water? We're made up of separate water.
Right?
Is water our brothers and sisters? Rocks our cousins.
I'm taking it on the ragged edge.
Liquid lives
Since
matter.
Since we're on gas pressure, Nathan, I posted the Master B YouTube reference to show in chat 960 live and after show. So I found it. I've got the minute marks there where Xanax says gas goes down, boom, boom. Since we're talking about gas pressure.
This in Master
Thank
B.
you, YouTube. Yeah. YouTube
59.
Posted in chat.
Okay, I've got it. I'll get it.
This is definitely the one.
Find the timestamp. Just give me a couple of seconds. Talk amongst yourselves.
Well, I met with my cousins the other day, but it was a rocky start.
Fucking hell. That nearly just about caught that at the end. I've got a really good argument that recorded that I could play of me and Gem Panda talking about gas pressure about a container, and he tries to reverse
somehow or another the vacuum will suck your eyes out of your socket, but it won't suck the air off out of the atmosphere.
Right.
What's that, Paul? So is that chocolate? What's that? You said that air will suck the eyes out of your head. What?
That's what you said.
Isn't that what you? Isn't that what you
Oh,
said?
I was being tongue in cheek about that. Yeah, if there's differential pressure, the inside pressure of your body will push the eyes out of your head.
Well,
no
I'm going to tell the caller
So
that
differential pressure.
Oh God.
Differential pressure will take the eyes out of my socket, but it won't pull the air away from the Earth.
Correct.
That's nonsense. That's absolute nonsense. If the sky was a vacuum, the gas, which is trying to expand in all directions, would fill that space instantaneously. No sky vacuum. That's what debunks it. Gas law.
The gas law, it works for a container. The container you're talking about, that may be true, where you change the volume and the pressure go up, you change the temperature, the pressure go up or down. That's a different set of conditions than...
That's Boyle's law. Yeah, that's not just gas law, that's Boyle's law specifically.
And Boyle's law as well.
Yeah, well, we're not talking about Boyle's law, are
Are you
we?
going to tell us again, Zanuck, how the Earth is mostly a closed system?
Pressing down on itself
Is it
all the way
mostly
down
closed,
to the surface.
or is it?
He's just reverted to circle jerk. Pressing down, he says. He's ignoring, head in the sand time from Zanuck, the fact that gas expands in all directions. He just has to circle jerk back to, it's pressing down, there's stuff above it, the vacuum presses down on it from the top. No, it doesn't. That's also been undone here. But it seems this circle jerking asshole just has to parrot off the nonsense again.
So Nathan, it doesn't go in all directions. It goes less.
Yeah, it fucking does. That's what gas does. It expands in all directions. Don't start your sentence with gas does not expand in all directions. Yes, it does. You are retarded. Yes, it does. You are wrong. You are stupid.
Go ahead.
You are stupid. Gas absolutely does expand in all directions. You were held over a barrel by Paul only 3 minutes earlier, asking if the weight of the water would stay at the bottom of the vacuum, and it does not. It would evaporate and expand in all directions to fill the available volume.
Can I ask you a question on that, Nathan? Can I ask you a question on that?
So
have I missed it? Have I missed it or something, 10th, or was it already? Is that the bit you wanted?
I gave you the end timestamp. Do you see it?
59. Oh, I started at the wrong place. I thought I started at the end. I thought we were listening to it for a fair while. 56.
Still good.
Sorry.
Yes,
you just want to hear him say gas go down, go boom boom, right?
Yeah, go start at the beginning, and we know what happens after where you started it.
I would like to see what it would say about
Hey,
this.
Zanuck, can you show me where, after you remove the air from the vacuum chamber, where water will pull because of its weight at the bottom of the vacuum chamber? Can you show that to me? That'd be great.
That's what all gas particles will. They'll go down in a vacuum.
That's incorrect. That's That's all I need. Gas goes down in a vacuum, does it? Yeah, okay. I think that's all we need.
Because you've created a pump. When you pump all the air out and you're inside of a vacuum, right? You create a pressure differential, and that pressure inside that vacuum presses down on the water, which releases all the energy out of the water, which why it freezes and boils. So you're changing the atmosphere or the air inside it, right? By creating a pressure, and then you're going, oh look, the gas molecules are on the floor because of gravity. No, it's because of the pressure that you've put inside the vacuum, you idiot. It's nothing to do with gravity at all.
Hold on, Tommy. No, gas doesn't go down in a vacuum.
Do you know, like when they put the helium balloon inside of a vacuum and it goes down to the surface because they sucked all the air out, and by doing that they've created a pressure differential.
No,
it was in a balloon.
In a balloon.
But there's no gas in a vacuum.
Yeah,
in a balloon.
But that's what he's trying to argue. He's trying to say that the gas molecules go to the bottom of the vacuum, right? That's what he said.
Yeah, but they don't. But for the fact that in that example that you're giving with the helium balloon that's inside a vacuum and then you slowly remove the pressure, what happens is there's less pressure as they pump it out on the balloon. So the balloon's going to expand because the helium inside it's going to create greater pressure as a differential as you remove the pressure that's on the outside skin of the balloon. So it gets bigger, right? Yeah. That's the first thing that will happen. Why is it getting bigger? Because it's trying to expand in all directions, and there's less force stopping it in the form of a solid barrier, the balloon. But once the pressure is beyond the capability of the balloon to contain the helium, it expands into the next available volume of a container. So it's expanding into the balloon. So let's forget the vacuum chamber for a minute, Tommy. In the helium balloon, the container the helium's in, is the helium at the bottom of the balloon?
No, it's still in all directions, and it's still pushing out in all
filled the
directions.
entirety of the balloon then. So it's filled the whole balloon. It's not like deflated at the top and full at the bottom.
Yeah.
So it's filled the availability of volume. It's expanded in all directions. It's pressing on all the walls of the container. It's expanded to fill the space. And the space in that example is the helium balloon that it's in. Until that pops, and then it'll do the same thing in the vacuum chamber. Just expand in all directions and fill the availability of space.
Okay, yeah, that's what I got wrong, because I'm on about the actual balloon rather than just the gas inside of it. All right. Yeah, so Zanix, you're wrong again. So they do expand in all directions, even when you contain them and try to weigh them and try to say they've got different weight. They're still going in all directions inside them containers. So you can never demonstrate gas not going in all directions. You cannot. Gas and gravity don't. There's nothing there. Gravity's a myth. You've been lied to. Get it in your head.
That's from about a year ago, just by the way. He's not here. How many times?
He's not here, is he not?
No. I'm glad that my desk is of such a high quality that it could convince you he was, though. I'm glad of that. I'm just going to read out another quick super chat from Alexander. Hold on one second. Aren't we all made of stardust? No, just so sorry, Alexander, but thank you for asking. What's with the rockets now? Double question mark. I don't know. Don't take the stardust from me. Wink face. Okay, I won't. Thank you for the super chat, Alexander.
So did you all hear the ISS is leaking again?
You're really quiet, Flat. So one more time. Go, Flat. Sorry, go. Go, Flat. Sorry.
He said something about the ISS leaking again.
Oh, sorry, I was trying to unlock my phone. Keep putting the wrong pin. I said, did you guys hear that the ISS is leaking again?
We covered it before you joined in the pre-show, unless it was you that brought it up, and that's why you're bringing it up now. So their concern would be based on the fact that if there's a hole, the gas is going to escape, fill the availability of volume.
They just put their thumb in.
What happens if you have a leak?
The gas would fill the
then
space.
You have a leak.
Put your thumb in it.
Don't put it, guys.
Just for the sake of this example. So if you imagine on screen now, you got Superman, right? Just for the sake of this example, imagine that instead of it being Superman, it's the ISS. So that's just our vantage point, looking down on the ISS as it's in space. So that's pretty accurate, actually, wouldn't you say? Let's just see if I can get it a bit more. Wouldn't you say that's about the sort of roughly what you'd see from the ISS, give or take? So you can. All I'm saying is it's a reasonable analogy to say, right, let's pretend for a second that instead of Superman, it's the ISS. Well, if your Superman-shaped ISS has got a leak in it, then it's got to worry that its gas that's inside Superman's belly is going to escape into this vacuum here. That's what they're worried about, right? But yet, you look at this horizon, obviously curved because it's presupposed to be a sphere, and that's what they're going to be showing you. That's a high-pressure gas right there, and that's a vacuum right there. So all the stuff beneath him, no concern whatsoever that this high-pressure gas is going to escape to this claimed-to-be sky vacuum. No. But the ISS, well, obviously, if the gas is surrounded by this vacuum and there's a hole, it's going to all get out. But the clouds and shit, they can happily survive next to the vacuum. It's no bother. We've got a gradient. The gradient keeps it all here.
Makes sense.
No, it doesn't. It's total bollocks, Neil.
To be honest, Superman seems more real than the ISS. Thank you.
I think once you get your head around the possibility of it being faked and orchestrated, then it's easy to see how they can do it.
Possibility, without question, Tommy. The claim of an ISS, the light in the sky, being what they say on TV with their pictures of men on high wire, is absolutely unequivocally fake because they claim it's in a sky vacuum. And that's a violation of natural law. Automatically debunking any claim that they say has taken place in this fake place. Doesn't matter what they claim they're doing, they're in a fake place. Like if I say, yeah, I've got the cure for cancer, I left it in Narnia.
Something that you can never confirm, and something that you can never go and see.
You can confirm it.
Saying.
No, we've got video from Narnia. You can't go through the wardrobe. You're not You're not young enough or youthful looking enough. I can, because I look youthful.
But there's something to put up there, though, isn't there? There's something we can see, and I think that's kind of one of the convincing things for people to still believe all the bullshit they're pushing out there. But I personally speculate that it's quantum locking or something, because the temperature would get colder as you get higher, and that quantum locking seems to work on magnetic fields and temperature. So that's my kind of like theory or idea.
God, you're gonna get a proper pasting if you come in and talk about quantum locking and say it's your theory. What's quantum locking, Tommy?
I've seen some videos on it online where they have like a metal base, and then they have like a very cold piece of metal over the top, and somehow it has some sort of like frictionless motion where it seems to levitate off over the surface of something.
Okay, and what's that got to do with the price of peas?
Well, obviously that people can use telescopes and look up in the sky and actually see things up there. So when they're seeing things up there, obviously it doesn't mean that there's people floating around in there doing experiments. It just means that like maybe they've put something up there to kind of sell the lie even more, so that people can look up with their like telescopes and see something and go, oh look, they must be telling the truth. We can see it. Look, so maybe there's some sort of technology that they've got a hold of that works on probably the same principles of quantum locking, where it seems to move and it seems to take the sort of non-aerodynamic shape that moves at a high velocity, and that kind of confirms people. That kind of confirms the lie for people, if you know what I mean, because we see something, but it doesn't mean that it definitely has people in it all floating around doing experiments. Just something to sell the lie even more. Do you know what I mean? To keep people thinking that NASA are up there doing something.
Okay, what the thing you can actually observe, the light in the sky called the ISS. What makes you think that you would need to fake that with something physical up there? Why can't it just be like the other lights in the sky?
That's a good point. I think just because I've watched some videos of people taking pictures of it and it having some sort of, I don't know, it looks like it has some sort of physical properties, but you can't tell because it's just too far away. But you're right, it could be a hologram, it could be anything. I wouldn't know. It's all speculation.
But we know that it's not men on high wire in a second law of thermodynamics violation. That doesn't mean use Arwin's words, you don't have to have a physical assumption bias that therefore you need to justify why there's what is actually just a light in the sky moving. Well, there's lots of lights in the sky moving, and they've assigned and attributed definitions and descriptions for all of them. How is this one any different? The fact that they've got a more elaborate stage show going on for it doesn't make it any more physical. Doesn't mean it's what they say, and it doesn't mean that you can suddenly come in with your quantum locking and your physical assumption bias, because that's going to get ripped a new one too, Tommy.
No, it's all speculation. It's not a claim. That's me just trying to think of a way that they could be having hold of some sort of technology that we don't quite know.
You're trying to muscle
yet.
in on
So
Arwin's bag here, Tommy. Right? We've got enough with Arwin, right? You don't need to do that.
I'm here too.
Yeah, we've already got an Arwin. he's doing a good job. All right, I'm going to do a couple of quick shout-outs. Right, shout-out to Rakia Life. Says, all my relatives are Rick Stars. Rick Stars? Anybody get that? Is that a typo?
Yeah, probably.
Maybe it's rock
probably
stars.
Meant to be rock stars.
Yeah, rock
Rock
stars.
stars, yeah.
Okay, thank you for the super chat.
There's more ridiculousness about the ISS.
Anybody want to do some more Michelle Thaler?
I think 3 times is enough on one show.
Can't get that. No. Come on, man. The rock star got me thinking of the Rolling Stones.
I want Tommy to adjust Jim Panda.
Look, we'll get. Maybe we'll come back to Michelle Thaler for a 4th time. Maybe. In the meantime, Alexander, thank you very much. If you have a leak, you just put your finger in the hole. When the hole looks like an album cover from the 90s, then yeah.
It's a complicated.
There's even more ridiculousness with the ISS.
But just technically, I was talking about a different Michelle Thaler quote.
Just hold on, just one sec. Say that again, Roscoe. I just caught the ISS.
There's even more ridiculousness with the ISS. Apparently, the area in the sky where the ISS is meant to be flying around, apparently they have random winds and thunderstorms.
Oh, yeah.
What?
It's akin to them saying that, they're suddenly having problems with drownings when they're out in the vacuum of space. A bit like if they're in the submersion tanks where they train. Just coincidence. But, You know, in the same similar way, we'd say, oh well, these things, satellites, not the ISS, are potentially just balloons, and very much in our atmosphere. Not that you can use that word. My God, globe programming, it dies hard. In the air, they're just in the air, these balloons. Therefore, they'd have a bit of weather, right? Well, if we take Tommy's physical assumption bias, which I'm going to completely blame on him, and say that it's a physical thing flying around, well, there's a good chance it might encounter some weather, right? Not if it was in space, though. Of course, all the weather that's beneath it would be vacating very quickly past it into the sky vacuum if the sky was a vacuum, debunking its existence in the first instance. But they claim weather, do they? Oh no, a bit of rain.
Well, they claim it's also random. So, what about the spacewalks? That's a bit risky.
I don't think their heart rates get above 86.
I mean, I can play that argument if you want, between when Gem Panda goes on about QE's argument, if you want. If you want to hear
you can just give us the broad strokes.
Funny.
Did you say he's got an issue with gas pressure without a container? What's the issue?
Yeah. He's trying to reverse the burden of proof. He's trying to say that if you can't demonstrate that it's impossible, then you can't ask the question, how do you have a gas pressure without a container? And he tries to reverse the burden, and we argue for a good 10 minutes. But he starts off. I can play a bit. See if you like it or not.
If you ever find yourself in that situation, it's really easy to overcome with a slight upward inflection that gets ever higher. So you say, well, how can you have gas pressure without a container? And you reply, in this instance from Gem Panda, well, how can you have gas pressure without a container, flat earther? And you go, how can you have gas pressure without a container? Debunking the sky vacuum. Exactly. And then they say, well, yeah, how can you have gas pressure without a container? And I reply, how can you have gas pressure without a container? Yeah, you can go on like that forever.
No, you have to prove my claim. No, you have to prove your claim. No, you have to prove my claim.
He was saying there's no way
he admits at one point, he goes, it's actually physically impossible to demonstrate gas pressure without a container. And I goes, exactly.
Welcome to Flat Earth, Gem Panda. No shit. So your sky vacuum, impossible then. Excellent. Shout out to Sean Tibbets for the thumbs up super sticker. Really appreciate your support.
That's exactly what I said. Welcome to Flat Earth.
It's impossible to demonstrate gas pressure without a container. I'd love to have that as a quote. That'd be nice to actually hear without it being paraphrased, the word for word. It's impossible to have gas pressure without a container from Gem Panda.
Yeah, I'll try and find it now. I'll try and find it. One sec.
Brilliant.
Gem Panda said that?
So it seems.
Wow. Welcome to Flat Earth, buddy.
He was claiming he can't falsify the claim.
Gas pressure stinky.
Well, while we're waiting, shall we listen to Michelle Thaler?
Oh, do we have to? Let's get a vote from the audience. Who wants to listen to Michelle
again? I put a different one. A different one is in Master B. It should be timestamped. I'm not sure how to timestamp in Skype, but it should be timestamped to 2:05. But if it's not, 2:05.
Okay.
Chocolate, is she the one that said it's not okay to believe the Earth is flat?
Yes.
I knew it.
But so the idea that we were all just hydrogen 13 billion years ago, we can take a picture of that. That's not a theory.
Right.
We can take a picture of that. That's not a theory.
We can take a picture of
I found it. Yeah, I'll play it for you now for you to listen to this one. The only way it's broken is because the fact that you're trying to say that we're near a perfect vacuum. You're the one who's stating that it's broken. You're the one who's stating that we live in a violation. We don't claim that.
I've never stated that. Where we live, it complies with the laws of thermodynamics.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does. But that's not the point. The point is the statement, you can't have gas pressure without a container, cannot be falsified. There's no way to falsify
that is our question. That's our question to the globe model. The globe model claims.
That's a problem, Brummy. It's a problem. Look, it's not. I'm not saying I can't do it. I'm not able to do it. I'm saying there's no logical possible way that it could be done. That's the problem.
Exactly.
There's no possible way.
I just can't do it.
Oh, right. So this here sky vacuum then, that's just total nonsense then. It can't be done. You can't have a sky vacuum. It can't be done. It violates natural law, as Tommy pointed out. There's no way it can be done. The gas would fill the space. You can't have gas pressure without a container.
But he went
Absolute
full
checkmate.
retard. He didn't just say, I can't do it. He said, it's not that I can't do it. It's impossible to do.
That means you can't do
Wow,
it.
Jem.
Thanks, yeah. But nice that we know you know how impossible the sky vacuum is. It can't be done. But they claim they're in it, flying around in a presupposed orbit, right? Nah, it just can't be done. Ace.
Tommy, has Conspiracy Cats ever got to show you that demonstration yet?
What demonstration? His declaration was without the container there can be no pressure.
No, but then he turned
He
around
put
and
some,
asked
like,
Brummy.
he put some pictures of some
He told
satellites up
Brummy
in the
the real
sky.
question is, how can you have pressurized gas without a container?
Oh, right. So, that's a very subtle adaptation. So rather than the upward inflection, it's the paraphrasing. How can you have gas pressure without a container? No. How can you have pressurized gas without a container?
Hey, but he was
How
going
can
to
you have
answer
beer? Well,
Remember
how
that
can you have
debate? They
lager?
never did.
Same thing, just semantical games. 2 hours I asked him that question for, and all the people that watched and all the people that commented on that video, none of them paid attention to the fact that he obfuscated and used every single trick in the book to just answer a simple question. You know what I mean? Because he knew that gravity is something that he can't prove, and it was something that I was gonna rip him to shreds on. So we tried to go to the other situation. We tried to go around it every single which way he could, and I still answered him quite fairly well. So now when I do get to speak to him again, it's gonna be an all out war. I'm going in for the kill this time.
So Theo Megawerty is actually given a bit of advice on how to timestamp. So you just add to the share link $T and then the number in time. So he's just put an example 1, 2, 3, where the T is time in seconds. So that's how you timestamp something if you wanted to know. With that, I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you, first and foremost, to both Discord and G+ panels. My camera has failed again, so I can't stick... Oh, and there's another super chat. Probably no bad thing, my camera failed. Tommy is ace, says Retro Bill. Thank you very much indeed for the super chat, Retro Bill. And indeed, Tommy is ace. He just can't have Arwen's job. Another massive thank you to both Discord and G+ panels for making today's live show possible. If you are watching on either Nathan Oakley or Nathan Oakley premiering stream, then stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow. Massive thanks to all who smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, and all that good stuff. Once again, stay tuned if you're watching on a premiering stream. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!